you must spend right much more food, wouldn't it? Just choose on what's away from them. It's an odd one really, isn't it? It's just funky now, it's just so close to say. It's quite a difficult landing That's also the thing, so there's a lot of the pilots are flying out to the Ipsos. We're getting moved to do flights out of the Caribbean. It's scared to be such a bad landing. They needed really sort of like technical pilots. What are you about? Something like that for? I know it sounds weird, but it's actually the same with delays in Ipsos because of the Caribbean. So we're looking at all the pilots. It's like a short roller for Edna.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats with your seatbelts fastened and all your hand baggage stowed until the aircraft is parked and the seatbelt signs have been switched off. Your mobile telephones may be switched on once the aircraft doors have been opened. Before you leave us, please ensure you have all your personal items with you. Have a good look in the overhead lockers and the area around your seat, but please take care when opening the overhead lockers in case items have moved during today's flight. We'd like to advise you that smoking is not permitted anywhere inside the terminal building, nor is it permitted on your journey to the terminal itself. The aircraft will be met by our representatives who will take you into the terminal building, and you'll find personnel within the baggage reclaim area should you require any further assistance.
This is Ipsos Harbour, on the holiday island of Corfu. It's a magnet for sun worshippers and water sports enthusiasts, but we'll be hoping to see a bit of interesting wildlife and perhaps catch a fish or two. There are plenty of fish to be seen in the clear water between the tethered boats, including dense shoals of sand smelts, and some slightly larger golden grey mullet. The blue-winged grasshopper is very common on the island, but only when it takes flight does the colour of the wings become apparent. By the end of September the butterflies are in decline, but there are still a few meadow browns on the wing. Visitors to Corfu can hardly fail to notice the stray cats. Here an old boy takes a snooze on a wall. There are lots of kittens too, and both tourists and locals leave food out for them. An ashtray from our hotel bedroom makes a convenient food dish for a mother and 3 youngsters who've taken up residence in the garden. Few tourists find their way into the hinterland behind the town and beach, which is predominantly given over to olive groves and smallholders. These tall conifers are a common feature of the landscape. And there's also lots of bamboo, which is probably grown as a crop. Fruit trees are also plentiful. These are oranges which have yet to ripen. The trunks of the mature olive trees are invariably contorted and full of holes. A tattered silver-washed fritillary rests on the bark. Livestock on the small holdings is often allowed to roam beyond the fenced compounds. The goats have very little to fear on country lanes which see hardly any traffic. Chickens and turkeys are also free to come and go as they please. On the roadside walls and verges, it's sometimes possible to glimpse a lizard. These attractive pink flowers were very common in the Corfu countryside. However, by late September many of the wildflowers were going to seed, and similarly, the butterflies were becoming increasingly thin in number. But there were still a few in evidence, including this large skipper. A few common blues were also on the wing. Along with a mallow skipper and another unidentified skipper, possibly one of the grizzled family. This is a geranium bronze, a tiny butterfly which has found its way into southern Europe from South Africa, possibly arriving amongst batches of imported flowers. The underwings have a distinctive and intricate pattern. Palm trees are dotted around, and this one has a spectacular flower head. We didn't see a great deal of interesting bird life, but every night a scops owl was calling outside the hotel. Sunrise on Ipsos beach. It's relatively quiet at the moment, but in an hour or two it'll be bustling with sun worshippers. I've headed to the harbour with a little telescopic fishing rod and a loaf of bread and a pack of ragworms for bait. An assortment of small sea bream are in obliging mood. This one's a sorpay. Here's an annular bream with its distinctive yellow underfins, and a Cooch's bream with a characteristic red wash over the flanks and stipplings of pale blue. This is a very small red bream, a species which does occur in the UK, and this one's a common two-banded bream. Small balls of sloppy mashed bread prove irresistible to the shoals which patrol the clear water. Other species caught from the harbour included this Black Sea blenny, also known as the rusty or red speckled blenny. Mediterranean damsels were plentiful, and I also caught a solitary painted comber. There's no doubt that lots of food is dropped at the end of the pier by tourists and anglers alike, and a colony of mice has learnt to take advantage. Despite the sweltering sunshine, it's not unusual to see crabs clamber out of the water and onto the rocks. Rock samphire has found a root hold in the crevices amongst the boulders. And it proves a hit with the local black ants. I've retreated into the harbour to drop a bait between the boats. And the result is an attractive striped white bream. Ragworm tempted this golden grey mullet, and at one stage a pike fished past, looking for all the world like a thread of drifting weed. We took a boat trip to the small island of Paxos, which lies in the waters to the south of Corfu. There were plenty of fish to be seen in the clear waters of the harbour, in this case predominantly Mediterranean damsels and golden grey mullet, which were fighting over a scrap of fish flesh. The rocky coastline of Paxos provides a panoramic view across towards the Greek mainland. And just as on Corfu, lizards can sometimes be seen enjoying the warmth of the sun. I spent a little time looking for butterflies and caught up with this Lang's short-tailed blue. And also a rather worn long-tailed blue. A handful of eastern Bath whites were fluttering around, but this poor record shot was the best I could manage. It's another day and we're back in Ipsos. There's a second, relatively small harbour midway along the beach, which also holds an interesting mixture of species. In this clip we can see predominantly golden grey mullet, with one or two bream moving beneath. And here a substantial giant goby is resting motionless on the bottom. All good things come to an end, and unfortunately the holiday is drawing to a close. It's an evening flight home, and before long we're looking down onto the lights of Leeds.